Hi, I'm Joe Roth. At New Jersey Sharing Network, we're committed to saving and enhancing people's lives through organ and tissue donation and informing people about our life-saving mission. That's why we're proud to support programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation. The Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, founded by the Jewish community. The Russell Berry Foundation. Rowan University, educating New Jersey leaders, partnering with New Jersey businesses, transforming New Jersey's future. TD Bank, Fedway Associates, and by United Airlines. Promotional support provided by bestofnj.com, all New Jersey in one place. And by northjersey.com and Local IQ, part of the USA Today network.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. This is a very special edition of One-on-One. This is a one-on-two conversation, part of our ongoing series, trying to educate and inform folks about organ and tissue donation. It is our honor to welcome Gail Clegg, who is a mother of Sean Clegg, who had 14 years of age, was in a terrible car accident, became an organ donor, 100 recipients.
Total with skin and tissue, yes.
And one of those recipients sitting on your left?
That's my girl, Melissa.
I could introduce her, but I'd rather you do it. Melissa Coleman. Tell us about Melissa.
Melissa, I call her my Energizer Bunny on steroids.
Never am on steroids because I take transplant medication.
I never met anybody with so much energy. But apparently, before she received Sean's kidney, she was close to death.
Yeah. By the way, let's keep camera rolling. We'll get a tissue for you.
Okay, thanks.
If you bring a tissue out, if you could. So you're always ready. Okay. I want to clarify. Sean was, in fact, on a bike hit by a car, 14 years of age. The decision, by the way, we're going to put up information, the New Jersey Sharing. Parody, I'll take it. It's all right. I'll get this. So if you could just put it right there.
Okay.
So the Sharing Network information is up. Did you know about this organization? Did you know that this was a possibility?
I knew about organ donation, but nobody I knew was a donor. Nobody was registered to be a donor. Nobody received an organ. It was just in the trauma unit at the hospital. After I understood what was going on, I asked a friend, what could we do? And this just came out of my mouth, believe it or not. Then I just decided it's what we wanted to do.
What was the it? Give the gift of life to so many others?
Make something positive come out of this tragedy. So, it was instant death. So there wasn't really a choice. There wasn't life support to keep him alive. There weren't operations that could save him. He was gone. So we just decided to make this happen, and I really knew nothing about the process. I learned about the process with the Sharing Network at Cooper Hospital while we were going through it, because you're there for 2 days while they have him declared brain dead, and then they have to search for people for all the organs, which were 6 solid organs that were donated out, and then the whole process of everything else. And they walked me through the whole process.
Now, you didn't search for Melissa, right? And you had been on a list for...
So I have, my underlying disease is called FSGS. It's a rare disease. They don't know if I was born with it or if it was... it's an autoimmune disease. They don't know if maybe I didn't take care of a strep throat or something like this. And I ended up in kidney failure. And since I've known I've had some kind of kidney disease since 1996, and then when I progressively got worse, I ended up being a candidate for a transplant. And so that was January 2004. I'm being put on this list. My 2 brothers were worked up. Unfortunately, they weren't good candidates to give me a transplant, so I had to be on this list. And I think currently, right now, we looked it up before we came, there's about 114,000 people waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. And we've talked about this, and she's helped me. I mean, how do you adequately thank the people that gave you this new chance at life? And it's pretty amazing people, because she didn't even question. Like, the worst thing, I mean, it's unnatural to bury a child, and then they're saying instantaneously yes to organ and tissue donation. So all of us, you had mentioned about 100 of us in total with tissues and eyes and all of this, that they're thinking of us at the worst time of their lives. And so when I was placed on the list with 114,000 people, and I used to have, like, how do you pray to God for someone, like, for someone to die for you to get a new chance at life? But I'll have Gail tell it, is that she's taught me, I mean, she gave me the gift of life with this, you know, I'm 10 and a half years out, living large, you know, and she told me, you're not praying for someone to die, you're
Praying for someone to make the right decision.
Talk about it.
I didn't have a choice in losing my son. He was gone. So my choice was to make something positive come out of it. So I told her, you don't pray for someone to die, you pray for someone to make the right decision when they pass away. That's the prayer you have to have while you're waiting on the list.
And now I'm a living legacy of Sean. And when we go out and we do these functions, and if we can just make one difference, you know, in changing someone's mind about organ, you know, donation, and when they get the chance on their, you know, their ID to make that decision, we want them to hear Sean's story and how we're all gifts of life because of him. And for their parents, you know, Gail and Andy and his brother Brian, making that awe-inspiring decision. And it gives us so much, like, we're living legacies of him. And believe it or not, all of their friends and family come up to me and say that I'm a gift to them. How is that possible? Do you know? How is that possible?
I'm sorry.
We travel together.
Yeah.
We've been to Europe.
I'm sorry for interrupting. You also went out too, because the folks at the Sharing Network told us you went out to Pasadena, California, to the Rose Parade.
The Rose Bowl Parade.
Do we have any, Lauren? Do we have any shots of this? We're going to show some shots. Describe this experience, and also how Sean was honored and recognized at the Rose Parade. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So this is actually the first time we were all together. That's Sean's picture on the Rose Bowl Parade float for the Donate Life. He's right over my son Brian's head there. I actually have the picture
Patty,
with
can
me.
we pick this up?
This is actually the frame version. With,
It was just opened this morning. She just got it mailed
Are
to
you
her
serious?
back framed.
Yeah,
Yeah. So in the green room, we just saw this for the first time.
Wow, you just saw this.
Well, I just got it back. We actually finished it. So there were 44 of these on that float, and they're all done by volunteers in California. So each donor that's chosen to be honored on the Donate Life float gets one of these, and it's put on the float. And this is Sean, one of 44 of them.
Could you do this for us? Could you just tell us briefly? We got it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit about Sean?
Sean was wise beyond his years. So when he was 14, he had already taken his college boards for the Johns Hopkins Gifted and Talented program. He liked to write music lyrics. He took guitar lessons, taught his friends how to play the guitar. He was just wise beyond his years. And one of the things that when people say, how do you know he would have wanted to do this? When we came home from the hospital after 2 days and we were planning his funeral, we found on his MySpace page at the time.
I know, can you believe MySpace back in?
He had written right before he walked out the door that day.
He was wearing the same T-shirt, right? And on the photo on his MySpace page.
He wrote this saying, and we took it to heart. It said, we all die. The goal is to create something that lives forever.
Say it again.
We all die. The goal is to create something that lives forever. So that I know he was probably talking about music, writing music that'll live forever, but his gift will live forever because beyond his recipients, you've met his heart recipient as well, and she's gone on to have 3 babies.
So now there's another generation of Sean. No, I'm his kidney recipient, but his heart recipient, Stefania.
Oh my God! And are you related somehow? Is there a short version of this?
Yeah, sure. There's when I was waiting on the list, I put out a Christmas card letter letting people know because I wasn't comfortable asking people to get tested. Right. And in my Christmas card letter, one of my mom's cousins, Peggy, and her daughter, Peggy, actually, older Peggy's married to Gail's dad. So my gift was a directed, donated
It's called
gift.
a directed.
Yes.
Where family
Which is very rare.
Very rare.
So I am just so blessed. I had, my family advocating for me and then her saying yes to organ.
And I didn't know her. I didn't know anything about her. I never met her.
A lot of people who don't know you but know you now. Do us a favor. Could you send a message to everyone watching right now who says, wow, what a powerful story, but I don't know if it's right for me. What would you say?
Well, people ask me how I get through every day. And I always say, you have the power. I hope to God you never find out. I hope that this happens to anybody. But if you really think about it, it is the right thing to do. I mean, to be able to help and save another life is just, it's amazing. It's a feeling you just can't imagine. And Sean will live on in a positive manner. And
that's what I strive to do. I try to pay his gift forward every day.
You're doing it today.
And I get to do it personally and professionally because I work at Haddon Hospital in Philly, and I promote our kidney and liver programs. So, like, he's given me the world back to me.
Gail and Melissa, I want to thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you sharing this story. You've made a difference. And thank you to our friends at the Sharing Network as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll be right back right after this. Thank you.
Thank you.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
Steve Adubato here. We're at the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, and we just finished a really compelling conversation called Breaking the Cycle of Teen Abuse and Bullying. We are honored to be joined by one of the panelists who contributed so much to that conversation. She is Lillian Rivera, Executive Director of the Hetrick-Martin Institute, New Jersey, and the name Hetrick-Martin?
Yeah, Hetrick-Martin, Damien, and Emery were partners. And one was a psychologist, the other a psychiatrist. They were activists in the community. They helped do all sorts of things like remove homosexuality from the DSM as a medical condition. And they heard about this young man.
The DSM is what mental health professionals use as a diagnosis
to diagnose
tool.
Folks with illnesses, right? So homosexuality was in there, and they helped get it out of there. And they heard about a young person who was in a shelter, and the young person was assaulted by other young people. And the response of the adults in the space was, well, had you not been so gay, this wouldn't have happened to you. And hearing that story just like galvanized lots of energy and strength with their interest in creating safe spaces for LGBTQ youth, and knowing that lots of LGBTQ young people are disowned by their families. They figured they wanted to do something. So they started advocacy they started the organization just like most organizations in their living room with their friends.
What's it today?
Today, 40 years, a huge organization, New York City, and New Jersey is our first, offshoot.
It's interesting. In the conversation we had, the forum, that was so, as I said, compelling and candid, focusing on teen bullying and abuse, I want to follow up on something that we talked about there. To what degree do you believe that those who identify or who are part of, they don't identify, they're part of the LGBTQ plus community, are they potential victims of abuse and bullying in ways that may be different than those who are not part of the community?
Yeah, I think those really contribute to gender, right? The irony is that we think it's about sexual orientation and who people are attracted to, but it's really about gender. And for a boy who is much more masculine and doesn't disclose that they're gay, they're less likely to be a target. But for a boy who's very feminine, he's very likely to be a target.
Of abuse and bullying?
Absolutely, because he's going beyond our expectations of gender, and gender influences our lives in ways that we don't even understand, right? And if a young boy is playing with dolls or likes the color pink or prefers to play with girls, or maybe their mannerisms look like what girls' mannerisms look like, kids find that different, something as a vulnerability, right? So they'll target in on that young person and they'll abuse them.
What responsibility do adults have to be aware of the propensity for this to happen, but also to be protective of those children?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right word.
I think it's the right word. Our organization was actually the Institute for the Protection of Lesbian and Gay Youth. before it became Hetrick-Martin. And I think all of the responsibility is on adults.
Define protect.
Protect means to ensure that young people can be who they are, move in the world the ways they need to move, express themselves, learn in ways that are appropriate for them, right? In a safe environment, an environment where they're not being judged, where they're not being called names, where they're not being ostracized, in ways that support all children to be just who they are. That's it. I think of a story where a friend of my child, who's now 10, and this was like when she was 3 or 4, one of her friends was a year older, and it was the first day of school. And he went to school, and he was wearing pink sneakers. And the next day, I asked his mom, how was his first day? And she said, absolutely horrible. And I was like, wait, he's like 4. How could he have a bad day on the first day of pre-K 4? And she said that the kids made fun of him because he was wearing pink sneakers.
They were bullying him.
Yeah.
They were verbally abusive?
Yeah, they were verbally abusive. You don't wear those sneakers. Those sneakers are for girls. Why would you do that? Why? Boys don't wear those. And those really small things are what impact children.
And again, I don't know the situation, and I don't know if you know this either. Did a teacher step in?
I don't know. I actually don't know, but that is the prime opportunity.
There's some adult, we don't even know.
That's right. When we can step in and say, no, clothes are for people, right? Toys are for children. Colors are for people, right? Dolls are for people.
But what about other kids? We talked about the whole question of young people, teens, even younger. You're talking about 4 or 5, whatever.
Yeah.
Being upstanders, or
yeah,
stepping up, identifying and saying no, or challenging the person who's being abusive or bullying. Realistic?
I think upstander behavior is definitely realistic. I think it's only realistic if we can role model that for children. If we could be the one as adults, absolutely. So if I'm in the supermarket with my 5-year-old and someone uses the phrase "that's so gay," it's up to me to role model and say to that person, you know what, using the word gay as derogatory, as a put down, that's not okay.
Someone says, particularly in certain supermarkets, I can envision it right now, mind your own business. Worry about your own kids.
Absolutely, but I'm not going to let that fly because your kid is learning that using gay as a put down is okay.
You're going to tell me how to parent my kid?
I could.
You could imagine that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I taught my child how to do that for themselves, and they're going to need to know. I mean, I have a wife. Right. They have 2 moms. They're going to hear this, and they're going to have to deal with these things in their lives. They didn't choose to have 2 moms.
Right.
Right? But they're going to have to deal with homophobia, and I need to be that role model for them.
Lillian, before I let you go, this term intersectionality, could you give us a synopsis of what it is?
Absolutely. Intersectionality is the idea that there are lots of identities that we hold that come together to create more sort of marginalization or more oppression based on, for instance, I'm a woman, I'm a lesbian, I'm Latina, right? I come from a working class family. All of those things do not separate, right? I can't be a Latina now and a lesbian later, right? All of those things come together. So when I present myself, when I'm in a real life situation, all of those things are manifesting themselves. So opportunities could be limited because one or all of them.
And we need to understand intersectionality.
We need to understand intersectionality because it's going to create a greater depth in our understanding how systems of oppression work in our country and how some kids may have some opportunities to grow and thrive and others won't. And we all start at the starting line, right? Intersectionality teaches us that that starting line may be a little farther back for some people, depending on how many levels of, marginalization or that they're combating.
I want to thank you for being part of such an important conversation and working every day to help break the cycle of abuse and bullying, particularly among teens. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well done.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
Hi, Steve Adubato here. We're in Camden, New Jersey. We are thrilled to be speaking to the Chancellor at Rutgers-Camden, Phoebe Haddon. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
Let's talk about what people see behind us. They're going to see a wide shot behind us. There is, in fact, the Joint Sciences Health Center behind us. Now, what does Rutgers-Camden, together with the folks at Rowan University, have to do with that?
Well, it's the Rutgers-Rowan Joint Science Building. And what that means is that we're collaborating on mostly health sciences-related activities. It's been my view that we ought to collaborate. We're competitors in many respects, but we also ought to collaborate. Because we're part of this community, and we are both proponents of higher educational opportunities for all of our citizens.
Chancellor, talk about some of the research that will go on in that particular building and why it matters so much, A, to the people of Camden, the people of the state, and to the nation.
From the perspective of Rutgers-Camden, we have world-class Rutgers scientists that are engaged in computational biology, chemistry, biology, and all the health science-related activities that are going on in this city are dependent on the production of our research, but also the students that come from Rutgers University Camden.
Is it actually changing? Again, we're doing a series on the future of healthcare in the state nation. Also, we're doing a series on innovation. You bring them together. Is this the new face of what healthcare and medical research is going to look like?
I think it has to be. Research is very expensive, and we know that we are highly competitive internationally. But for us to continue to do that, we have to have our own centers of excellence.
It's interesting. We were talking to Dr. Ali Hushman, the president at Rowan University, and he was saying no university, no matter how good they think they are, cannot do it alone.
No, that's true. And that's why I started out with the proposition that in the future we will be collaborating. That's the only way we can do it. And I've had some experience in other universities where that has happened and been very successful.
We'll talk about that a little bit because we're fascinated by the fact that there are so many universities, colleges, institutions of higher learning in this state, in this region. There's a lot of competition. How do you get past some of the competitive issues, the turf issues, dare I call it the politics, and say, you know what? We need each other to do great things. How do you do that?
Well, I think it takes good leadership, and it takes some vision about the future that enables people to see beyond their own perspectives.
It takes a lot of humility, too, to acknowledge that you can't do it alone. The other thing I'm curious about is the people of Camden. I mean, I'm a proud son of Rutgers, up north a little bit.
Yeah.
But Rutgers is Rutgers.
Yeah.
And Rutgers is tied to this community as Rowan is. Talk about the connection between Rutgers-Camden and the community of Camden, particularly with students.
Rutgers University Camden is connected essentially to the city. We have a commitment to civic engagement. That's a long-standing commitment. It didn't used to be called civic engagement. For many institutions, it is anchor institution. And
what does it mean? You're an anchor institution. What does that mean?
That means we are fundamentally a part of Rutgers University, but also part of Camden, New Jersey. It means essentially that we view our place as fundamental to the development of the city, and the city's space is the place where we work and learn.
Chancellor, what do you think most citizens of Camden want and need from the institutions of higher learning like Rutgers, like Rowan, like Camden Community College, others? What do you think they need?
I think that it is the case for all citizens of any city, that they want a higher educational opportunity. They want a sound educational opportunity that's K through 12 or pre-K through 12
for their own children.
For their children.
But tie it to higher ed. I mean, for some, do you think it's challenging to even think of the prospects of higher ed in a city that has been challenged for so many years with so many problems? How do you create that optimism that higher ed is a real legitimate option?
Well, one of the ways that we've done it is through pre-K through 12 opportunities that we offer them as part of our civic engagement in our summer programs. as well as the year-round programs that involve pre-K through 12.
So a university involved in pre-K through 12.
All the way through.
Say someone says, well, that's not really your job. Your job is to deal with after high school. You say?
No, we are an anchor institution, and that means we are a part of the city and have to make an investment into the future by way of the support that we offer to the students who are in school.
Chancellor, before I let you go, how optimistic are you about the future of the city of Camden, and why?
Well, I have to be optimistic because I am its biggest proponent. I think that it really is the case that Camden is rising. I see it every day as I walk through the streets.
What do you see and feel? Talk about that a little bit.
I see development going on. And
a lot of new construction I saw coming in.
It's lots of construction. It's a lot of traffic. It signifies that we really are on the move, and that, yes, that there are jobs, but also we will have a role in creating other jobs because the workforce is going to come out of South Jersey. We're a very proud member of Camden, but also of South Jersey, and we know that we have a stake in it, in the workforce development as well as our higher education aspirations.
Chancellor, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by New Jersey Sharing Network, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, the Russell Berry Foundation, Rowan University, TD Bank, Fedway Associates, and by United Airlines. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
Every year, thousands of senior citizens are abused, neglected, or taken advantage of financially. Elder abuse can happen in many places, and seniors may not recognize they're being abused or may not feel comfortable coming forward. Raising the level of awareness of elder abuse is key to protecting our seniors, so understanding the warning signs of abuse is important. Be aware of changes in daily patterns, finances, and changes in appearance. If you think someone is being abused, please contact your local Adult Protective Services unit or local authorities to get help right away.